Liz Plank was out, instantly said she quit, a show of support and solidarity with Blake after everything dropped, and people began looking into it.
We just broke a shocking story. There is a rift, and I think that is an understatement of a word, a rift.
You guys, buckle up because the drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has reached a whole new level, and it's messier than ever. If you thought Hollywood's biggest feuds couldn't get any wilder, think again. This story has everything. Lawsuits worth hundreds of millions, high-stakes PR battles, shocking allegations, and even a former CIA operative stepping into the chaos. Yes, you heard that right. We're diving deep into the latest updates, and trust us, you don't want to miss a single detail.
At all. I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint.
So let's kick things off with Blake Lively, who is clearly not here to play. She's bringing out the big guns in this legal showdown. And by big guns, we mean Nick Shapiro, a former deputy chief of staff for the CIA. Yup, Blake has hired a guy who used to deal with national security to manage her public image. If that doesn't scream high stakes, we don't know what does. And let's be real, this move has got everyone talking. Why would Blake need someone with that level of expertise just for PR? Some folks are saying it's a brilliant strategy to protect her reputation amid all the chaos. Others are wondering if it's an over-the-top flex to intimidate her opponents. Either way, it's clear that Blake is pulling out all the stops to stay ahead in this game.
And one of the most significant allegations in Baldoni's lawsuit is that Lively sought to gain control over the editing process of the film.
Now, according to Blake's legal team, this isn't just about PR. It's about controlling the narrative in what they're calling a high-profile harassment and retaliation case. A spokesperson for her team told Variety that Nick Shapiro has been brought in to advise on legal communication strategies, specifically to ensure that Blake's side of the story is the one people hear. And let's not forget, this is all happening against the backdrop of a massive lawsuit she filed back in December 2024, which accuses Justin Baldoni of some pretty serious misconduct. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Now, you have two sides here, right? So Baldoni says this was all an effort to hijack the film to get her way. Lively claims she was the victim of harassment in a hostile work environment.
For now, let's talk about what Blake's team is calling next-level crisis management. The hiring of Shapiro has definitely raised eyebrows, especially since he's known for handling some of the most explosive scandals in recent history. This guy isn't your average PR consultant. He's worked closely with former CIA Director John Brennan and has a reputation for being a master at managing the media in high-stakes situations. So, what does this mean for Justin Baldoni? Well, it means he's got some serious competition when it comes to winning over public opinion. Blake's team is clearly playing chess, while everyone else is playing checkers. And speaking of Justin Baldoni, things aren't looking too great for him right now. He's not just battling Blake in court. He's also suing the New York Times for a jaw-dropping 250 million units of U.S. currency. Yes, you heard that correctly. This lawsuit stems from an article the paper published late last year, which Justin claims painted him in a terrible light. The article reportedly suggested that Justin orchestrated a smear campaign against Blake after she accused him of inappropriate behavior. According to Justin, this was not only untrue, but also devastating to his reputation. And let's be real, in Hollywood, reputation is everything.
For most of his career, he has been a major proponent of feminism, of healthy masculinity. How does it feel for him?
Justin's legal team is arguing that the New York Times deliberately misrepresented text messages and other communications, stripping them of context to make him look bad. The lawsuit accuses the paper of everything from libel to invasion of privacy, and Justin is demanding they pay up big time. But here's where it gets even juicier. Justin later rolled this lawsuit into a broader 400 million unit federal defamation case against Blake, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and her publicist Leslie Sloan. Yup, this feud is dragging everyone into the mix. Justin's team claims that Blake and her crew colluded with the New York Times to spread false information about him, essentially teaming up to destroy his career.
Shutting down a woman's claims.
She is claiming that they're harassment. He's saying none of it is true, never happened, never did.
Of course, the New York Times isn't backing down without a fight. They filed a motion to be dismissed from the lawsuit, arguing that they were simply reporting on Blake's legal complaint and that their journalists acted responsibly. A judge has already granted the paper a temporary stay of discovery, which means Justin's team can't demand internal documents from them while the court reviews their motion. And honestly, the judge didn't seem too impressed with Justin's case against the Times. He even suggested that their motion to be dismissed is likely to succeed. So while Justin is fighting to keep the Times in the lawsuit, it's looking like they might just slip through the cracks. But wait, there's more, because Justin isn't just dealing with lawsuits. Oh no, he's also facing some seriously damaging allegations from former employees at his company, Wayfarer Studios. According to a recent expose by the LA Times, ex-employees have accused Justin of fostering what they call a toxic positivity work environment. Now, at first glance, that might not sound so bad, right? But when you dig into the details, it starts to get a little sketchy. Employees have claimed that Justin's behavior felt insincere and, at times, professionally inappropriate. One former staffer even described it as phony, saying that his constant focus on kindness and positivity came across as more of a performance than anything genuine.
And he says, like, look, this is just, Hollywood is based on pure fear, cultivated by both of them and their very powerful friends in entertainment.
And it doesn't stop there. Some employees also took issue with how Justin's Baha'i faith influenced the workplace culture at Wayfair Studios. They claimed that it played too strong of a role, making some people feel uncomfortable. For example, staff members were reportedly encouraged, or even required, to end emails with phrases like "so much love," which some found overly personal or unprofessional. There were also complaints about Justin filming himself doing charitable acts, like giving clothes to the homeless, which employees felt was more about self-promotion than actual goodwill. Of course, not everyone agrees with these criticisms. Some former employees have come to Justin's defense, describing him as ethical, creative, and genuinely kind, but the damage to his reputation has already been done, and many are questioning whether Blake's PR team had a hand in bringing these stories to light.
But yeah, it's just getting super nasty, and it seems like he's not cowering to this attempted gag order.
Yeah, I don't really understand Blake Lively's point.
Wayfair Studios has since released a statement denying the allegations and defending their workplace culture. According to a spokesperson, the company believes that joy and positivity are the essence of good work and that employees are encouraged to practice their individual beliefs freely. They also emphasize that there have never been any formal complaints about the company's culture. But let's be real, when stories like this start making headlines, it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle. And just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, the LA Times uncovered a previously unreported lawsuit from 2020 that adds another layer to this already chaotic saga. The lawsuit was filed by Shane Norman, a former executive at Wayfair Studios who claimed he was recruited with promises of job security and career advancement, but was ultimately fired after raising concerns about racial inequalities within the company. According to Shane, Wayfair had a pattern of sidelining and tokenizing people from diverse backgrounds. He also alleged that during his hiring process, Justin's co-founder, Steve Sarowitz, made a comment about needing someone who looks like you, implying that Shane was hired more for optics than his actual qualifications.
Now to the ongoing Hollywood drama everyone is talking about, the legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
The lawsuit was dismissed in 2021, but sources say Shane received a settlement to drop his claims. And while Justin's team has denied these allegations, the LA Times report has only added fuel to the fire. Critics are now accusing Justin of exploiting social justice narratives and terminally ill individuals in his storytelling projects, calling into question the authenticity of his intentions. Wayfair Studios has pushed back against these accusations, insisting that their projects aim to raise awareness and funds for important causes. But at this point, the controversy surrounding Justin and his company is becoming impossible to ignore. And let's not forget about Blake Lively's public image, which is also under intense scrutiny. Fans and critics alike have been dissecting her every move, especially after her recent appearance at the South by Southwest premiere of A Simple Favor. Blake was seen taking photos with fans, and while it might seem like a sweet gesture, some people are convinced it was all staged. They're pointing to details like the placement of fans near the red carpet and the fact that Blake looked a little too camera-ready in every shot. Some are even speculating that her team hired people to pose as fans just to create some positive buzz around her.
I think this was a very dicey move because I think this very much opens up interpretation to what Blake Lively is saying was uncomfortable, and the key word here, unwelcomed.
And this isn't the first time Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, have been accused of staging public interactions. Back in January, Ryan was spotted signing autographs and taking selfies with fans outside the Met Museum in New York City. At the time, people speculated that the whole thing was orchestrated as damage control for the ongoing drama with Justin. So, are these moments genuine, or are they part of a carefully crafted PR strategy? That's the question everyone's asking, and honestly, it's hard to say.
Now, I will say, it is also interesting that the defendants in this answer also admit that they sent text messages. I mean, when Lively produced copies of these text messages that she got through a subpoena, there's really nowhere else to go on that. You got to admit that you sent these, but it doesn't mean that Baldoni and the other defendants will agree to the context or the characterization that was laid out by Blake Lively. For instance, they write this.
All right, so let's dive back into this swirling storm of drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni because, honestly, it just keeps getting juicier. If you thought the first half was wild, hold on tight because this saga is far from over. As both sides gear up for what's shaping up to be a massive showdown in court, the twists and turns just keep coming, with new developments and shocking revelations popping up almost daily. And honestly, It's hard to tell who's got the upper hand here. Is Blake's team masterfully steering the narrative, or is Justin's legal counterattack starting to gain traction? Let's unpack it all. So, while Blake has been busy rallying a high-powered team to lock down her public image, Justin's legal team hasn't exactly been sitting on their hands. One of the biggest bombshells recently is the court's decision regarding Blake's request for a protective order. Now, Blake's legal team wanted to keep certain details of the lawsuit sealed under what they called an attorney's eyes only designation. Why? Well, they argued that the case's high-profile nature created a massive risk of leaks and gossip, especially within Hollywood's tight-knit and rumor-hungry artistic community. And let's be real, there's no shortage of people in that community who'd love to get their hands on some juicy details to stir the pot.
Look at this scene that was captured on tape, you'll see there's nothing nefarious going on. She says this actually proves her point. There's an argument that she is hiding her discomfort with what he's saying and doing, and she's just trying to finish the scene like any kind of professional. Which way you take it, which way you perceive it, again, that'll be up to a jury or the fact finder.
The judge, however, wasn't about to give Blake everything she wanted. While some restrictions were granted, the court was very clear that the scope of the protections would be limited. For instance, highly personal information, like medical records or private security measures, can be kept under wraps. But when it comes to other materials, the court made it clear that those could very well end up public as the case progresses. And here's the kicker. The judge outright acknowledged the likelihood of gossip and innuendo spreading in the industry, even if the information doesn't make it to the press. Basically, both sides need to brace themselves for the fact that this case is going to get messy, no matter how hard they try to control the narrative. Blake's team, of course, spun this as a win, with a spokesperson saying the court's decision ensures the discovery process can move forward without risking harm or intimidation to witnesses. But Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, wasn't about to let that slide. In a statement, he emphasized that the court had rejected what he called Blake's overly broad demands, and that the defense remains focused on accessing the evidence they believe will clear Justin's name. And honestly, you can sense the tension here. Both sides are claiming victory, but the reality is neither of them came away from this completely unscathed.
And that also, they say, includes us responding in the public to the montage dancing video that we put out. Why? Because, quote, the Lively Party's counsel publicly described the contents of video footage relating to Miss Lively's allegations as damning. Their statement continued, any woman who's been inappropriately touched in the workplace will recognize Miss Lively's discomfort.
And speaking of tension, let's talk about how this whole ordeal is spilling over into their personal lives. Blake's team has been vocal about the toll this legal battle is taking on her and her family. In court filings, her lawyers described how the constant scrutiny and online harassment have left her feeling anxious and overwhelmed. They even claimed that Blake has been receiving disturbing, hateful messages ever since she filed her initial complaint against Justin in late 2024. And let's not forget, her husband, Ryan Reynolds, has been dragged into this mess too. Blake's legal team has argued that the stress of the situation is affecting not just her, but her entire family, including their young ones. According to her lawyers, there are days when Blake struggles to even leave the house, let alone face the public.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are seeking to dismiss Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against them.
But Justin's team isn't buying it. In fact, they've accused Blake's side of using her celebrity status to try and gain unfair advantages in court. During a recent hearing, Brian Friedman pushed back hard against the idea that Blake and Ryan should get special treatment just because they're public figures. He argued that the additional protections Blake is requesting would essentially shield her from having to provide evidence that could damage her case. And here's where it gets really interesting. The judge seemed to agree, at least to some extent. He pointed out that when you're dealing with a celebrity lawsuit of this magnitude, it's inevitable that some details are going to leak. As he put it, if you sue a high-profile person in this industry, it's going to get picked up by the press. But don't think for a second that Justin is walking away from this unscathed. While he's busy fending off Blake's accusations, he's also being hit with fresh allegations from multiple directions. Take, for example, the claims from former employees at Wayfarer Studios, Justin's production company. These ex-staffers have accused him of fostering what they call a toxic positivity culture in the workplace. Now, if you're scratching your head wondering what that means, let us break it down for you. Apparently, employees felt pressured to always put on a happy face and embrace Justin's overly cheerful demeanor, even when things were going wrong behind the scenes. Some even describe the environment as cult-like, with Justin's Baha'i faith allegedly playing an outsized role in the company's day-to-day operations.
This is not a nice person, and Justin bent over backwards to accommodate her many, many demands, which included, according to him.
And if that wasn't enough, the LA Times recently uncovered a previously unreported lawsuit from 2020 that paints an even more complicated picture of Justin's leadership style. In this case, a former executive named Shane Norman accused Wayfair Studios of racial discrimination, claiming that he was sidelined and ultimately fired after raising concerns about inequalities within the company. Shane alleged that he was hired more for optics than for his actual skills, and he claimed that non-diverse employees in similar situations were treated more favorably. While the case was dismissed in 2021, sources say Shane received a hefty settlement to drop his claims. Needless to say, this revelation isn't doing Justin any favors as he battles to clear his name.
They're saying she decided she wanted to take over and use the power of her fame and name and that of her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to bully Justin Baldoni into the fetal position.
Of course, Justin's team has denied all these allegations, insisting that his projects and workplace culture are rooted in positivity and inclusivity. But at this point, the damage to his reputation has already been done. And let's not forget, Justin has also faced backlash for some of his creative choices, with critics accusing him of exploiting sensitive topics in his storytelling. For instance, his documentary on Sam Simon, the co-creator of The Simpsons, and his film 5 Feet Apart, which focuses on teens with a serious health condition, have both drawn criticism for being emotionally manipulative. While Justin's team argues that these projects are meant to raise awareness and inspire change, the accusations of exploitation are hard to ignore.
The point of it is to show us that he was not some evil harasser. He was subjugated to her and Ryan Reynolds, and clearly afraid of both of them.
Meanwhile, Blake is facing her own set of challenges when it comes to public perception. Over the weekend, she attended the South by Southwest premiere of her film, A Simple Favor, and while she appeared upbeat and radiant on the red carpet, not everyone was convinced. Some fans and critics have speculated that her interactions with the crowd were carefully staged to boost her image amid all the ongoing drama. Photos and videos from the event show Blake taking selfies with fans and chatting with people in what appeared to be an exclusive area near the red carpet. But eagle-eyed observers noticed some odd details, leading to rumors that her team may have orchestrated the whole thing.
First and foremost, I should tell you that I have a major scoop regarding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, their newest legal plan, or something that they were.
So where does this leave us? On the one hand, you've got Blake, who's fighting to protect her reputation and her family while navigating an incredibly stressful legal battle. On the other hand, you've got Justin, who's not only trying to clear his name, but also dealing with a wave of negative press and internal controversies. Both sides are digging in their heels, and with the trial set for 2026, it's clear that this feud is going to drag on for a while. But here's the real question: who's winning the battle for public opinion? Is Blake's high-powered PR strategy enough to keep her on top, or is Justin starting to turn the tide with his legal counterattacks? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this and other breaking celebrity scandals. Until next time, stay tuned, because in Hollywood, the truth is always stranger than fiction.